To update you, there's really no major injuries, just a lot of bumps and bruises. Some guys that maybe held out of practice here and there, but should be ready to go on Saturday. I'd say the biggest injury of all is on the coaching staff. Charles London went for a jog and broke his foot, so he'll be in a boot for 4 to 6 weeks. So that's probably the biggest injury news. One thing I'd just like to say is, this is a very important game for many reasons, but probably the most important reason for our coaching staff and myself personally is that it's the last home game for these seniors. And so we're putting everything we can into practice and making sure that we do as good a job as we can to help these seniors go out on a winning note. We know that it's a very, very tough opponent. Nebraska is a very, very good team. And it's going to be a big challenge, but we just can't wait to come into Beaver Stadium, and hopefully it'll be a great crowd. I'm not in charge of ticket sales or anything like that, but I would imagine that the Penn State fans will turn out in force to show their respect for this senior class that stuck with this university and stuck with this football program. So looking forward to the game on Saturday.
Okay, we'll start with questions. Rich Garcella in Reading. Rich, go ahead.
Thanks, Jeff. So what do you think this senior class has contributed to Penn State? And can you describe what kind of leader Pat Zerbe has been this season?
This senior class has contributed quite a bit, which I think when you look at it, there's a lot of different personalities in this senior class. You have guys that are obviously really good players that have played a lot of football for us. You have guys that are great students. We have a number of top-notch students. John Herschel gets a lot of pub, and rightfully so, because of his ability in the classroom. But there are many really good students in this class. You just mentioned one, Patrick Zerbe. We've got a lot of guys that have already graduated and are working on a second degree in some respects. So you have that to me is very, very impressive. Like I said, you got a lot of good football players. You have guys in this senior class that have really embraced their role, whether it's Stephen Obang or Pat Zerbe or Alex Butterworth or whoever, Brandon Felder, whoever it may be, Gary Gilliam. They've really embraced their role. So to me, that's a big part of it too. And to me, they set the tone every week. They showed our younger guys how to practice and came back with intensity, whether it was following a win or a loss. And again, they stuck with this university, they stuck with this program, and they didn't have to after the sanctions came out. And I think that says it all about this class.
Bob Flanders in Harrisburg.
Yeah, Bill, you mentioned what a big Saturday it is coming up at Senior Day. I was just wondering if I could get your thoughts just on the challenge of the next 2 weeks. I know you like to take them one game at a time, but it's Nebraska, then it's Wisconsin. Do you feel like the next 2 weeks and how you guys play will kind of define your season?
We are completely focused on Nebraska, Bob. I understand the question, but believe me, we are not thinking 1 minute about Wisconsin. I can promise you that. This Nebraska team is a really good team. We're taking it one practice at a time, one day at a time, and just very, very focused on Nebraska. I don't try to define seasons. I leave that up to you guys.
Derek Lavarson, Wilkes-Barre.
Billy, you just mentioned a bit ago Gary Gilliam. He was on the list of players to be honored before the game Saturday. And he decided not to return for that 6th year he was granted. And what did he mean to your program?
Well, again, I don't want to get into the discussions, because those are personal between myself and some of these guys, including Gary, Kyle Boblitz, Alex Kenny. But those guys, basically they sat down with me and they've decided to move on to the next stage of their lives next year, and they would like to be introduced on Saturday, and so especially Boblitz and Gilliam. So that's what we decided to do, and those two guys are great guys. They've been really good players for us and good leaders for us, and we're looking forward to watching them play these last 2 games, especially this last home game.
Mark Wogenrich in Allentown.
So continuing with the senior class, how do these guys extend or advance?
We got to get a better speaker next year. We have to. It is, I swear to God, it's like Charlie Brown's teacher. and it's not my hearing, I don't think. Is it? What? Can you guys hear it? Go ahead, sorry, Mark, go ahead.
I'm using an iPhone 5, I swear.
Wah, 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 wah. Go ahead, Mark.
On the senior class again, how do those guys extend or advance what you and the last year's seniors put in place last year?
That's a good question. I think they did that in many ways. Number one is they did that through their work ethic. They continued to work hard in the weight room and on the practice field and do it with intensity. You know, I thought that was a big part of it. They continued to embrace their roles. You know, as long as you were clear with what their role was and defined it for them, they embraced that role. You know, they continued to develop the relationship with the coaching staff. I think that's a big part of it. And you know, the biggest thing to me is that they understand the word teamwork and working together. They embrace the younger players. You know, you think about it, I think 10 years from now, when you look back on these last two senior classes, you know, obviously they'll be an important part of Penn State football history. You know, they'll be a part of it that, you know, that however you guys define the history of Penn State football over these last 2 years, I would say that these two senior classes will be a big part of it.
Frank Bodani in York.
Kyle's from our area, and I just wondered if you could just talk just maybe for a moment a little bit more about Bob Litz and what kind of guy he was like to be around. He didn't really get a chance to play much before you got there, but he has the last 2 years here.
Yeah, just well, first of all, great person, really bright guy, excellent student, comes from a great family, and on the football field, a very, very tough kid. You know, I don't know if anybody even knows. Last 3 or 4 weeks, he's been playing with a bum ankle, and he's played through it, and he's played tough, and you know that means a lot to us. You know, when you play defensive tackle at this level, that's not easy. The day-to-day practice regimen and then playing in the games, and he's meant a lot to us. And I think the younger players, I know the younger players look up to a guy like that and know that he's contributed a lot to this program.
Joe Giuliano, Philadelphia.
Hey, Bill, I'd like to talk about one of your freshmen. As Christian has become more experienced and more comfortable in your offense, how much have you increased his workload you've given him from week to week? I just wondered if it was a steady progression, and how would you say he's picked up the new information every week?
We've definitely increased his package every week. I think if you look at last week's game against Purdue, he made a lot more decisions at the line of scrimmage probably than he had made in most games, and some of those decisions he made on his own based on film study, which is really, really good. That's when you know that a guy is starting to get it. And so he's made tremendous strides, and we've continued to, you know, feed him more and more of the playbook on a weekly basis.
Mike Gross in Lancaster.
Hi, Bill. After the game on Saturday, you know, the kickoff team struggled a little bit, and you talked about, you know, assessing that and maybe make some personnel changes. I mean, what have you come up with in your assessment of that?
Yeah, we're not going to make any personnel changes on that team unless it's because of injury. And right now they seem to be healthy. We're going to coach it better, get these guys to study the film better, get these guys to understand it a little bit better, how to avoid blocks and what side to avoid and things like that, and lane discipline and all those things. And we've got a bunch of great kids on that team, that unit, and we're going to continue to coach it.
Johnny Collins, Scranton.
Hi, Bill. I wanted to ask you about another one of your seniors, Eric Schreiber. He made his first start for you guys on Saturday, and I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on the career he's had at Penn State, both on the field and off it, and how you've seen him develop as a person in your time there.
Well, I've developed a close relationship with Eric. He's a great kid. He's a tough kid, Scranton guy. You know, what else would you expect? I'm sure he would tell you that his playing career maybe hasn't worked out exactly the way he saw it coming out of high school, but I tell you what, he's brought a toughness to our practice field. He's worked hard. He's accepted his role every week, and it was good to get him that start last week. And then off the field, what else can you say about him? You know, the work that he's done, especially with Lift for Life and involving the younger players to teach them how to carry that tradition on, the amount of money he's raised for kidney cancer research. You just really can't say enough about what he's done. I really believe that Eric Schreiber will go on, whatever he decides to do, he'll be a big success at it.
Dan Gelston, Associated Press.
Another question about two players. One, did you get a chance to watch Matt play on Sunday for the Raiders? And if so, what did you think? And what is it about him that just made him? What's going to be key to his development to go from walk-on to NFL starter?
Did I watch Matt McGloin? Yeah, I watched the game. I watched the game. I thought he played a heck of a game. That's not an easy defense to go against. Houston Texans, Wade Phillips is an excellent coach, been in the NFL for a long time. J.J. Watt, some of the guys that they have on that side of the ball. So I thought he played well. The team played well. They ran the ball well. They were balanced, and he completed passes. He threw the ball accurately, played with poise. Can't say enough about him. I mean, he's a smart guy. Smart guys that work hard, that have talent, they really thrive in that league. They really do. And I think that he'll thrive in that league.
What do you think is Allen Robinson, and what do you think he probably needs to refine the most?
Yeah, I'm not going down that road. We're very focused on Nebraska. That's not a road I'm going down. That's ridiculous. So he's very focused on Nebraska, and he's looking forward to the Nebraska game.
Chris Adamski in Pittsburgh.
Hey, Bill, real quick before I get to the big question, Matt Lehman is listed as being honored on Senior Day. Is that a sign that either is it going to apply for next year, or is it not denied one, or is that just in case, I guess, in case you leave that option open? Then option still open for him, I guess.
That's probably more a just-in-case deal. We're still waiting to hear on his application for a 6th year. That's just just-in-case. I think that any guy, I did this last year. I think it's a special thing when you get introduced in front of the home crowd. So I want these guys, if this is their last home game, to have that opportunity. I think it's a special thing. It's a special stadium. Again, I hate to use the word hope. I'm not a big fan of that word sometimes, but I'm hoping that it's a great crowd. I think these kids deserve a great crowd, and so I wanted to make sure that he got introduced.
Okay, and then also just want to ask about the offensive line. Watched them on tape last couple weeks especially. Have you really seen, are they playing maybe their best that they played all year?
I think the offensive line has played fine all year. I mean, we have two guys that have over 700 yards rushing. When you look at the sack totals, some of those sacks are on the quarterback or on a missed pickup by the back. I mean, I don't know. You guys must think it's not as good as I do. I think that the offensive line has played well all year. They've played tough. They've done everything that we've asked them to do, and they've been fun to coach.
Okay, Brian, at this point, we'll take questions here in the media room. Please raise your hand, bring a microphone to you.
So can you talk about the development of Adam Brenneman and how important that's been given the injury issues that you've had at that particular position? He has come in and improved every single week, and he's had a couple bumps and bruises too. He had an ankle and a foot, so this was a few weeks ago, we've been careful with him, but he's really improved. He's really, when he played in high school, he was used as a wide receiver quite a bit, in the slot, split up, that. And he wasn't asked to block a whole lot as an inline blocker. And he's really improved there. He's stronger. The weight program's helped him already. And he's an excellent athlete in the open field, and he'll only continue to get better. He'll be a heck of a player for us. As long as he stays healthy, he'll be a heck of a player for us here at Penn State. Bill, you mentioned earlier about the